everybody, I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just want to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in the series finale of The Bad Batch. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney Plus, check out the series finale, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me to break down everything from the series finale of The Bad Batch, it's Jon Jon Rico!
Mission complete.
Whew. All the feels.
So many.
I mean, look, we were talking about this even before we started recording. There's a million things that they did perfectly. And just we had, things tied up in a nice little bow that we really enjoyed. And I mean, that's what this video is going to be. It's just, reacting to what was a great finale to a show that, has been really good, surprisingly good. Not that, I thought it was ever going to be a poor product to begin with, but I didn't think I was going to get this invested and like this amount of enjoyment out of this. Like I really, especially this season, I really got like,
oh yeah, it's the best season by far.
Exactly. So like, yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, this has been a great ride, and I am really sad to see the series ending, but like to be able to, finish the story on their terms and to be able to like you said, bookend it very nicely on their own, is all you can really ask for a series, is to be able to start it how they want to and end it how they want to. And they did that. They definitely did that. There's so many things that I definitely want to point out, and that's what this is going to be about. But the first thing I have to point out is just, I love that, we got examples of how in tune, Omega and the rest of the Bad Batch really are to each other in some of the funny moments, some of, just moments like in general. But like one of the funny moments that I thought was everyone from the Bad Batch, including Echo, instantly knew that Omega was the one who released the Zillow monster. We had two instances, like Echo knew it immediately, and then like Hunter and the rest of the guys knew it immediately too. They were like, yeah, this was definitely Omega.
Echo's handiwork or Omega's?
Omega.
Yeah, I like how it kind of breaks down too. Like Echo knew that she did because it was something that Echo would do, and then before they even decided it was Omega, they're like, was it Echo or Omega? And they're like, it was Omega.
It was Omega. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
so like the fact that they narrowed it down to those two, and then even then it was like Echo was like, yeah, it would be either one of us that would do it. So it's like
exactly.
It goes back to Omega's whole character arc about just learning things from everybody that she's encountered over these years, right? Especially her brothers. I think more than anything, everything that she took from her brothers really went on full display here in this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. But Rico, what were some of your instant reactions for the series finale? It feels weird to say. I don't want this to be over, but yeah,
bittersweet to say, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, this was a perfect ending to this story in my opinion. I've really grown to love these characters ever since I saw them. We first saw them in the last season of the Clone Wars. It just kind of felt right that they were kind of going to get their own show, because you introduce this fun group of characters.
Yeah.
There's no way you could just give them like this one-off arc. So yeah, but just the way they were able to incorporate them into the overall larger Star Wars story. But even like for bringing in stuff like the Emperor and how they brought in like stuff for future Star Wars stories. But they did a great job of just kind of wrapping up the whole story of the clones in general, like just in a really nice, beautiful way, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, and it wasn't without like a little bit of trouble along the way, because of course we had some people betraying us, of course, some inevitable betrayals, of course, but it ultimately ended lead up to a great victory, and we were left with smiles and tears on our faces at the end of the episode. So I loved it.
I'm not gonna say I was crying, but there was
Oh, I was.
I was definitely getting a little dusty at the end there.
Oh
But
yeah, I was
anyway,
full on crying.
before before we get too far into anything, you want to get to some takeaways?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, why don't you kick off takeaways?
Okay. I really wanted to start this off with just saying one thing. Get absolutely Hemlock and Rampart. Okay, so one of the great things I love about Star Wars is that whenever an Empire villain just kind of gets their comeuppance, I think it's one of the most like satisfying villain defeating of a villain that we see in media. Like it just some of the most satisfying things to me, and we got two instances of it in this episode. And the first one being Rampart, who ultimately kind of like you kind of predicted that he was kind of going to kind of try to win back the favor of the Empire and ultimately betray the group. And I was kind of holding out hope that he kind of would do like this callous thing and actually betray the Empire because they kind of left him out to dry, right? So it's kind of like that one thing where their own hubris is always going to be their downfall at the end of the day. So ultimately, Rampart thinking that he can get back on the good graces of the Empire by having Hemlock's research, and ultimately it literally blows up in his face. I will say, and she kind of I love what she just declares, like, you and the Empire will not have my research, and then she kind of triggers that thermal detonator, not knowing that you know probably anticipating that she was going to die in that moment anyway, of course, but also Rampart not anticipating that she was holding that thing, and when she shot it, it just dropped to the floor. Goes, no, I just love that he got to kind of know that he lost before he officially lost too, which is even better. And then of course, Hemlock kind of the way he was just kind of pompously saying how like the weakness of the clones was how their loyalty to each other, and ultimately that loyalty is what ended up becoming his ultimate defeat. It was one of the most satisfying Star Wars villains and deaths thing ever. And I absolutely love that. We had some predictions throughout the season that we were right and wrong about. One of the things that I was particularly happy to be right about, I predicted this early on in the season, was that I wanted my happy ending group shot of the family on Pabu, and we got literally exactly that. We got all of them sitting together, even with Batcher, and it just reminds me of like all those finishing frames of the original Star Wars movies. We have everybody in like this celebratory kind of a pose, and you just get this nice little family shot before you cut the credits. And we didn't get like the credit cut here. We got the little epilogue cut, which was great. But I really love that. And then we kept talking about the Shadow Op clones, the tech reveal, which I think ultimately ended up being a good thing that they just kind of regs, because I think it makes Tech's death that more impactful, and it just makes what they were fighting for that much more significant. So I really do like that they didn't go back on that and kind of make his death ultimately mean nothing. But yeah, that's just one of the few things that I really love from this film. There's just so much to love, though.
Yeah, and I mean, adding to your like the only way I thought we were gonna kind of get the tech reveal, if it was ending up to be tech, was like you were saying. I didn't think it was gonna happen in the finale. I think it was I was more thinking it was gonna happen in the episode before the finale. Right. Because that's like the big oh shit moment, and then you have the finale to see if they can, turn him back to tech, basically, and have like a happy ending type of thing. But yeah, the group shot at the end is perfect. I almost thought I totally agree with you. It absolutely looks like a classic Star Wars ending then it would just like cut to credits. I almost thought it felt like the ending of like a story video game where you have them and then the credits start rolling over top and you just have like the theme music to like play in type of thing, to, like an ending, and you kind of have them like moving a little bit in the background, like if they're eating a meal, then everyone's sitting around like laughing, eating, stuff like that. That's what it kind of felt like to me. But yeah, the other thing we were talking about that we didn't get, which was very surprising that we didn't get, was
I was surprised by this.
Yeah, was the big like end game Return of the Jedi moment where everyone comes in, basically.
Yeah.
So
I was hoping to see some Rex and Wolf and Gregor and stuff like that.
Everyone.
I was a little bit surprised. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like that we end up getting the clones that were broken out were there to help. They were ultimately kind of used as cannon fodder, because I feel like most of them got murked by the Shadow Ops clones. Which also I really love that they had like the 4 different ones in there, and they also had all like the different abilities. I mean, one freaking cuts off Crosshair's hand for God's sake, and that's and so we get a big Star Wars moment there, which is
Yeah.
crazy. You can't have a Star Wars story without someone getting their hand cut off.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's perfect that you bring up Crosshair because my biggest takeaway, and like I said, there's just moments that I loved in this finale in general, and this is another one that I really enjoyed, and it's on that list of things that we kind of predicted. We both kind of agreed that there was going to be that moment where Crosshair had to make a shot count, and this was that moment. He had to make a count. What we didn't predict on that was he was going to be doing without his normal trigger hand.
Oh, that's one way I deal with the tremor.
I
Yeah,
know,
I
that's
guess. Like,
exactly
yeah.
what I
How are you gonna get
said.
over it? Well, he's gonna get his hand cut off. Okay. You got Jamie Lannister, basically.
You got Luke Skywalker.
True. Yeah. But for Game of Thrones fans, no, Jamie Lannister, the greatest swordsman in the land, he got his sword hand cut off in the story, which is kind of a great thing too. And he had to kind of learn to adapt with that as well. So I do love that kind of like they're always finding ways to mirror other things as well. And I kind of feel like for us, they're like, ooh, that's a Jamie Lannister moment right there.
But yeah, I mean, that was one hell of a shot. It was one hell of a scene. And I mean, as much as I was happy to finally see Hemlock get his comeuppance and just like have that moment where he's like falling in slow motion type of thing,
Hmm.
I almost think Rampart's death was more satisfying. Because he was just a dick. And
They're both cheer-worthy moments too.
Yeah.
I audibly went like, "Woo, yeah, that's what I wanted."
But yeah, I mean, both good. But I almost leaned more than I appreciated Rampart not making it out of this one. So
Yeah. And I do want to talk about the use of Tarkin in this, because one of the funny things just about Tarkin and the idea, just like the hubris of these higher level Imperial officers, is that they're never looking out for each other. So that's kind of going back to Hemlock talking about the loyalty being the clone's weakness. Like the fact that these guys have no loyalty to each other, they're just kind of looking to one up each other for their own benefit. It's just kind of funny how you always see that like just get spat up in their own face, because Tarkin does it to multiple people. We end up he does it later on to Krennic and Rogue One, of course. Like right after they're done and defeated, he kind of swoops in and be like, I told you were gonna fail, and then I kind of just sweep everything you did on the rug, and now it's my credit. So that and ultimately goes back in his own face too, because the first time it ever happened was because of Tarkin, and you get to see him think that he won, and then the Death Star blows up. So yeah, it's just kind of like these great full circle moments, and that Tarkin has witnessed it 2 times before, and it still happened to him as well.
yeah, absolutely. And
I love it.
We get the long play, and it's funny they got to work backwards for that long play.
Yeah, it's just again, they find a way they fill in the gaps, and they just find really great ways to tie it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to get to some predictions?
Sure do.
I guess awesome, but I guess not predictions so much as more reaction.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Yeah.
Yes. That sounds more like it. Final thoughts. And I mean, I just want to bring up again, the ending shot was awesome, the ending group shot, but the epilogue scene, I was like there was definitely some dust in my eyes, like during that whole
Oh yeah.
like to see a grown-up Omega and older Hunter. Perfect. And I mean, they're still making use of that hidden cave. Like now it's just for Omega ship, which
now it's a parking lot.
makes perfect sense at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just everything that they said in that, like, I don't want to repeat it word for word, but just like everything from that scene was so emotional and so impactful, and just like just basically saying over and over again that they're family, and if she ever needs them, they're there, type of thing. Like,
yeah,
holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to love about that scene, because obviously we get the jump forward, so obviously we get to know that they got to live like this great peaceful life on Pabu for a good probably 10 years or so, before Omega decides that she's ready to go off and do bigger things for herself. And I just love that, like, when we're seeing, at first I didn't realize where we were, because they kind of show like this top down shot, and I almost thought we were like going back to Tantus for some reason.
I thought that too for a
Yeah,
second.
and so I was like, wait, what are we doing back here? What happened? And then like it kind of goes back to like the bottom view. I'm like, okay, we're back on Pabu. And so I was also still wondering what happened there because I was wondering like, what life is like on Pabu still for them. Like I'm really glad they got to stay on Pabu too, because I guess with Hemlock being gone, it seems like any kind of information they had on Pabu was they were no longer in danger because it was really just Hemlock looking for him. So I really do like that they didn't have to like relocate after the big attack on Pabu a couple episodes ago. So that was really great. But yeah, we get to see Omega grown up, which I thought was really cool. I'm like, okay, yeah, like look at her, just like this young woman. Like she was a young woman before, but now she's truly like a young woman now. Like she was a little girl, acting like a young woman before. But she's going to say like there's a rebellion going on. I need to go. Like they're looking for pilots. So I think that was a big thing. Like she wants to be a pilot for the rebellion. So I think it's really interesting to see if we ever will get to see like what role she played in that rebellion fight. I'm totally fine if we don't, because I just feel like this is a good way to kind of wrap up their story. Like she got to do her thing, and we don't need to know like every bits and details about where she ended up afterwards. But if you wanted to tell that story, sure, go ahead and do it. And also just getting to know that Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair got to live like just kind of like this peaceful life, not having to be soldiers anymore, right? Because they talk about how they're only bred to be soldiers, and now they didn't get to choose what life they get to have, and so now they get to have that choice. So again, that's really the great send off for clones in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And just like I said, I mean, that entire scene, like it was just, all the feels, all the emotions. I mean, it tied everything up, and I'm in total agreement with you. Like, I think it's a perfect send off, and I think it's perfect to show us that the Bad Batch got to grow old, like free, and not having to fight anymore.
Yeah.
And then Omega also gets to continue her fight. Like now it's her. Like she gets to be in the driver's seat. She gets to go out, do what she wants, type of thing. And it's cool. I'm in the exact same place with you. I think this was a great ending. And I am okay with never finding out, what she actually did in the rebellion and stuff like that. But at the same time, if we got it, I would be there to watch. Like I'm down to see that type of thing,
Yeah, she could pop up in like a game if they wanted to do like a game. Like there's so many different types of mediums you could do to fit her in different stories. But also we got to give a shout out to D. Bradley Baker and Michelle Ang, who are the main voices of all the clones. D. Bradley Baker's been doing the voice of all the clones since Clone Wars. And he's just done an incredible job. I always talked about the way he's able to bring this individuality to every single clone that he does. And he's just absolutely incredible. And of course, Michelle Ang as the voice of Omega. Clearly, those two carried the show the entire 3 seasons. So just hats off to them.
Yeah. Did you see there's a video going around
From all of us of the Bad Batch, we wanted to thank all of our many fans
saying goodbye with all the different.
It says he does that last little goodbye as Wrecker. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I retweeted that. Yeah, I love that.
Oh. Oh man, it's getting a little dusty in here. Anyway, I think it was a perfect ending. I really don't have anything else to say as far as this. I can't wait for the next Star Wars projects we get.
Tales of the Empire this week.
Yeah,
there we go. But, we're moving on.
Yeah, we're moving right on. We're moving on to X-Men too. Like we've got plenty,
we got a lot
plenty more content. I'm just saying, I am very
Acolyte coming out. We got it's a great year for Star Wars this year. We got a lot of stuff coming out, and there's a lot to look forward to.
Exactly.
Great year to be for nerd content.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. How did you feel about the series finale? Did you get everything you wanted in the finale of everything? And do you think we will ever see the continuation of Omega's story in the long run? And what medium will we see it in? Books, comic books, video games, movies, cartoon? We don't know. Live action is not out of the question at this point. So, and as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Popping Off presents That Recap Show.